Hello and welcome. This is episode 19 of a podcast Engineer-to-Manager. I'm your host, Alex Maestrenko. In this podcast, we explore what is engineering management. We dive into the challenges and opportunities. For this journey, I invite experienced engineering managers, technical leaders from different parts of the world. Today's guest is Sergiy Korolov. Hello, Sergiy. How are you doing?
Hi there, guys, and welcome to podcast. I'm happy to join you. I'm doing really great today, and hope you too.
It's great to have you here on the podcast. So you have experience as a tech entrepreneur with engineering mindset. That's how you describe yourself on LinkedIn, at least. And you have quite an interesting career, what I would say, like 15 years in the same company in Railsware as a managing director, starting as a manager director and still remaining as a manager director.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit different, but I'll tell you right now the details.
Yeah. All right. Prior to that, you were founder and managing director at several other companies, but you started your career as a developer long time ago, like almost 20 years ago. So we started more or less at the same time. Is it all correct? Yeah.
I mean, from the helicopter view, it's correct, but I guess details are important, so we can get into the details.
Before we jump in those details and go in this conversation with Sergiy, dear listeners, like and subscribe this video. Specifically, I would like to thank out to those people who reached out to me saying they like the podcast and they're sharing their thoughts on the podcast. Really appreciate, guys. This brings me much more energy to continue this journey together with you. So back to you, Sergiy. As you said, it's different what I mentioned. So 15 years, not the same position, but the same company. Can you tell me more details how it went with Railsware?
Yeah, so the question was like at the same company, but the truth is that the company is completely different. When I have joined the company, and then through the transformation, we've built 2.0 version of the company, and right now we're building 3.0 version of the company. So the name is the same, but the team, the mindset, the goals that we achieve and we're focusing on, they're completely different. So in the first version of Railsware, it was just pure outsourcing. Mm-hmm. Without dedication to the craft, just classical schema, but really small outsourcing shop. So here are the engineers, do what you want, clients just do what they want. Then there was a transformation period when we have built product studio. So the consultancy model where we build product for the clients, like introducing all the approaches of product development, product management, product engineering, design, and so on. And the probably huge difference is in the model is like when you come to the restaurant and you say, I'd like to have borscht, and then, pure outsourcing, they bring you cabbage, potato, water, and they say, all right, do your borscht, like how you would like to make it. In our case, we moved to the next stage where you ask for borscht, and we say that we have 3 different options, which one you prefer, and bring you the one which fits you the most. So and inspiration for that we found in Pivotal Labs. It was a consultancy company in the heart of Silicon Valley. Later, it has been acquired by EMC. And there were a bunch of transformation, but anyway, that company is very inspiring for us. It was like a North Star. They participated in launching many famous products like Square, and many others like famous names. And Thoughtbot, the other company, they were.
Was Martin Fowler being a leader?
Not Martin Fowler. Chad Patel is the one. Yeah, there were Hash Rockets as well, but like smaller ones. But I would say Thoughtbot and Pivotal Labs were the best. Again, with the approaches. Thoughtbot, yeah. So they contributed a lot to the ecosystem of Ruby on Rails and Elixir. But the major point was that they were super good in building products with their approaches. So yeah, that was 2.0. Uh,
Okay.
And the 3.0,
Before
yeah,
we
yeah,
jump into more
go.
details in the company, you mentioned one thing which struck me immediately. You said inspiration you got from other sources, and let's put it on the stack, right? Because what I want to understand first is like, what are you doing? So you're sharing the result of and this transformation. And when I was looking up who's a managing director, their Google said me like, okay, it's a person who provides inspiration, motivation, and guidance to leaders and managers in a company. And you said you're getting inspiration from outside, and then, according to this quote, bring their inspiration to internally. So, what are you doing as a managing director? Is it this change, or are you doing something else?
Yeah, so titles, they're different, right? I mean, the name is the same, but in different companies of the different shapes, different sizes, this role means different things. So we run our company with my partner Yaroslav, and so we kind of split it that high level role. He's a CEO and I'm managing director. We took responsibilities for separate parts. Like, for example, I took responsibility for building up people aspect, like HR
Mm-hmm.
team. I was responsible for marketing and still responsible for all marketing in the company and all around. I was we split it few products, so I'm responsible for mail drop, for the vision of the product, and for running it kind of as CEO.
Mm-hmm.
Yaroslav is responsible for Tighten Ups and Coupler.io. And so, and there are a lot of smaller things here and there that are divided between our responsibilities. Our So speaking about inspiration, first of all, I would like to say that caliber of people we hire, many of them do not require additional like heavy motivation or something. So they enjoy craft. So we hire craftsmen, and
Okay.
craftsmen enjoy of building things with other craftsmen. So, like again, many companies do the mistake, and not only by the way outsourcing companies, but a lot of product companies we see it daily. They hire engineers and product managers and designers of different caliber, and sometimes when you hear junior, it means something that person is very inspired by the technology but has not enough knowledge, and then it's a pleasure to work with such junior. Unfortunately, in many other companies it's not like that, so they rather hire someone who is not willing even to grow themselves in the technology. They just don't have experience, and they call them juniors. So what I'm leading to is that when craftsmen work with craftsmen who both value the craft, so they enjoy building products, then it's a pure joy. So Yaroslav recently had this nice quote from like we had all hands meeting in the company. He said, what?" Like the question was, "Do you want to sell the company or something?" So by the way, we don't want to sell the company. We enjoy what we do. Yeah, and so he said, like, "What's the point for me to, buy a Ferrari if I can work with Julia on the daily basis?" That's kind of inspiration we find in the collaboration with each other. So honestly, what we do is we just shape the vision where we go. Our history shows that the goals we set, we achieve them. There are like, could it be like more? Yes, like probably can, but I would say that everything that we stated for ourselves, we reach. Well, again, sometimes it takes longer. For example, I was expecting to have mail drop as a platform a year ago. We only going to have it in the middle of the summer,
Okay, well,
but we can talk about it later.
it all changes. But before we go in the products, one thing, as you said, you have a very specific attitude towards hiring and look for specific people who are like the craft of developing and creating products, right? Before this podcast, I look up on LinkedIn Railsware, the company where you work, and I was wondering whether you have engineering managers, right? Because I invite lots of engineering managers to their podcast to speak here. But what I saw that you have product managers and their technical leads. Is it correct, my understanding, that
Yeah,
you structure the company like this?
Yeah, that's true. We have such a position which is similar to engineering manager. You can call liaison. Again, it came from the pivotal labs in the past, but it was a person who is connecting different, and again, it's from the consultancy part because it was more relevant there. So it's a person who is responsible for helping teams to grow their skills and their careers, and also uh, cooperate in the proper way with the clients, right? So that was the
Hmm.
liaison position. And this is something that we have, but there are only two of them in the company, in the whole company. And the major, I would say, scale factor is exactly team lead or engineering lead
Hmm.
and product managers. So product managers is more about, of course, product side, marketing, requirements, positioning of the product, uh, value proposition, and kind of so on, like dispatching all the processes that happening.
Okay.
While engineering lead, it's not a manager. It's a like again, it's very important to say here that the whole company is built on the leadership by example. So titles do not matter here. Like even me or Yaroslav or some other guys cannot just come to the team and say, "All right, now you do this," like without reasons, without selling the idea, without showing the path. And what also always happen, like not always, but sometimes happen, that you need to actually take responsibility and show the rest of the team how to do things,
Hmm.
and then transition back to them so they can kind of be inspired by that. So you asked about inspiration. So inspiring by example is also one of the instruments that we use. But for these, you need to be a professional, right? So you cannot just come with the title and say, "All right, I am the boss. You do what I say." So this is something that just doesn't work.
Well, I tend to disagree because titles matter, but in the sense that they define their type of job that you're doing, right? And
Mm.
they define the
I'm saying that
responsibility.
in relationships, of course, they set expectations so that you are responsible for the
Exactly. Yeah.
vision. But in typical hierarchical structures, the boss may come and just say, "You do what I say." Like I mean, I'm just exaggerating a bit, but they may not sell their ideas to the team, so they apply some rules and they apply some decisions without selling the idea, and then you have a lot of frustration. This is something very very typical that you can meet in every team, that they said that we should build in that direction. Why that happened? Like, what are the reasons? What are the goals? Like, nothing has been communicated. And again, it's not Ukraine only, like, or our companies. It's
No, no, no. It's
very
worldwide
very
their
success. Yeah,
approach. Right,
very
right, right.
successful unicorns that we all know. They have such a mess. I mean, inside.
I do realize, but just to make sure that here I understood you correctly, because their title sets the expectation, but then how you behave this determined not by the title, but by their company or culture, right? So you say that the title is there and you can do it, but you have to inspire people instead of pointing out that the people have to do it, and they're explain, guide by example, and this is all the part of the culture, which is something different than the title. That was my point.
Yeah,
And
true.
so did you ever try it with engineering manager, or you decided to abandon it in there at one point in time? So why don't you have such a position? Don't you need there to set up processes, a connection between different teams? How does it happen in your organization?
So we love the movie Moneyball. Have you seen Moneyball? Movie?
No, not
No, you
really.
haven't. So I recommend to everyone watch the Moneyball, because there is a concept that describes that you can actually build a team from different skills, not necessarily like a star team without many stars. So when you distribute the responsibilities correctly and like strengths and weaknesses of your team. Our model and our company is pretty flat. We don't have managers who manage managers. So it's rather teams which are organized and manage themselves. So leaders, they help the others to achieve the goals that are set. So what I want to say here is that the typical engineering manager responsibility is to help the others engineers, right? And so this is something that is distributed between engineering lead in the team, and again we have those two guys, Artur and Anatoly, who are liaisons, and so they help, they guide if there are some issues, I don't know, in communication or in some technology, or so they are always there. They're always open to help, share experience between teams. Again, because we're not in one product, even our product wing has 3 different products, but also consultancy part. So we see a lot of different products in different situations. So we learn from those situations, and we bring experience from one team to another team, and by this kind of bring them to the similar level.
Understand. And you mentioned that there is a product part and their consultancy part. So just for listeners to understand, what I realize that you're a product studio, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
For this.
Exactly. And so there is usual story that the company from the service business says, all right, we're going to build a product. Our story sounds like that, but it's different from the perspective that right now we have 200 people and more than 100 people works on our own products. So it's not like there is a bench and we just drop some engineers there, and until they're waiting for some work, they're doing something and then they run away. No, it's like fully set up 3 teams, and they're kind of growing. Those teams are growing. It's Mailtrap, IO, Titan Apps IO, and Coupler IO. So there are 3 products there in different segments. There are leaders of those products. So there are engineering teams, there are marketing teams, product teams. And so, for example, on Mailtrap, we have 5 product managers. So quite a decent amount. Yeah, and there is a service business, of course, which stays with us. Yeah.
Yeah, is it different to work within your organization for a product team or for a customer team? Let's say customer product team. Is it different from the processes, from their, I don't know, work attitudes? I'm not asking about precise projects, or products, but rather, have you built your processes, your engineering style? Is it different or is it the same?
I can say that in majority of smaller startups that we work with, it's very, very similar to what we do in our products, because we are so involved that we recommend, like our marketing specialists recommend them how to bring the product to the market. So it's completely different story than just sell engineers. So we bring the best expertise we've built with our products to the clients who launch their companies. And so, for example, we have one client who tried to work with few agencies before. He failed, came to us. We rebuilt the product for him, and he reached I'm not sure if I can disclose that. But anyway, so like his ARR already kind of a few millions in a year and a half. So
nice. Congrats on that.
We have built the team for him, and then the team was able to build the product and still actively developing it. And so again, there are those startups that arrive to our pipeline, and we deliver kind of the processes, the approaches, the level of engineers, product managers, designers, all the same. So we're just less involved in marketing. We're only on the level of consultations. But of course, in our own products, we are driving the whole process. The story is a bit different with the bigger clients, even like Calendly, our lovely Calendly. We were the ones who built it from the very beginning, from scratch, and helped them to reach the super success. But at a certain moment, they start to grow their team. And of course, they start to sell to corporations. Corporations require additional certifications, additional processes. They brought on board their engineering managers. And we integrated in their team. And of course, we do not drive all the process there, although we're part of the architecture guild. We kind of share the feedback, and the initial foundation of the product, it has been done by us. So our DNA actually is still there, and it is inherited by the other team members, even on their side.
Yeah, nice. So basically, you're bringing a part of your culture, a part of your vision to the companies of all different sizes, from smaller startups to bigger ones, and it's actually amazing to realize that you can influence a bigger customer not only from delivering, but also from changing their processes, changing their attitude towards their work that they've been doing before you came to them.
But I must admit here that such model, I mean, talking about this level of service business, it's unscalable. I can guarantee you. You can hardly find such experts in product management, in engineering, that are able to deliver such level of work, such quality. So it's, again, just totally unscalable. And that's just a boutique. It's like craft burger. It's not McDonald's.
Talking about, I see, the stickers behind you with different colors, and I read in your post on LinkedIn and on your website that you have a model, a tool for building that culture, and they're building their empowering the product team, which is their bridges, if I am pronouncing correctly.
Yeah, correctly. It's correct. So those cards I put yesterday for the better background, actually. But yeah, bridges is the fantastic tool. The inspiration again came from Pivotal Labs when we went to them to Silicon Valley in 2011, I guess, or 2012. And we ran sessions when we try to discover what kind of product we'd like to build. It's not a clone for sure. I mean, like, we took some principles they used, and then we applied our knowledge and our understanding how to build products that we collected over the years later on. And a few years ago, we decided to formalize it, make it as the framework, because every time we arrive to a certain product and we kind of show the magic moves when we shuffle those cards, prioritize, everybody likes it, and the results are really, really good. So the core idea behind it is that when we think about product, we usually think about features and feature, it's already a solution for something. So you skip one step. Instead of real motivation of you or your users, you rather say, "Oh, I like to build, so I don't know, a car," while maybe you need a train. So you need the mobility of the group of people, right? And you say, "Oh, I like a car. I'd like a car." But then and the bridges framework actually helps you to make a step back, to clean your mind from already existing solutions that you generated for yourself, and define who are the users. And bridges is universal, so you shouldn't talk about users. You can, analyze anything. So we call this subject. And this subject may have some benefits, issues, risks. So this actor, and you cover those risks, issues, benefits, and then you talk about, and there is a solution part where you cover those issues, benefits, and risks, which you prioritize priority.
It's very nice of you actually to share this model back with the community. So it's available as a Figma template, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's Creative Commons license, so you can apply it to your needs, modify it. Just don't forget to mention the original.
Yeah, and they're basically this is a framework that everyone can use, and they benefit from your experience. And this is a great contribution. So thanks from the community, and they're a good move from you to bring it back. And also so that you also contribute a lot. You, meaning the company, contributes a lot to open source, sharing the results of your work. So this contribution and then bringing their stuff back to the public, is it also a core of building your team, or did it came like natural?
It's a craft.
Or you were okay?
It's a craft.
So
Yeah,
you're saying
craft.
like
Everything we talked about is a craft, and when you do the craft, so we don't do a lot of open source right now. If something happens, some library that we can open source, then we do this. But it was a pretty heavy period. I'm not heavy, but heavy on open source. So we contributed a lot when the Rails as a framework appeared. And Ruby community was fantastic community, really. I mean, one of the best communities, technical communities at that moment. And there is a lot of influence actually that happened and applied on the other technologies, on other. Yeah, so that was a fantastic time. I honestly miss this period of growing Ruby on Rails, and Elixir appeared, and there was a lot of open source. There was a lot of promotion of open source in those conferences, and we were a part of the journey as well.
Do you consider moving to any other technology in the nearest future, whatever that might be?
Yeah, so we are not limited to Ruby. So Ruby on Rails is just a default web framework it's just the best one. How we see it.
For you, that works for you,
course,
right?
Yeah, for us, of course. But on Titan apps, for example, we use Java because the infrastructure and the ecosystem is heavily dependent on Java, and it's not a problem. So you apply the same concepts which you apply with the Ruby on Rails. I mean, there is no difference. So I'm a C++ developer. So I was building heavy loaded systems on C. I was building application on Objective-C, like 2 applications for iOS myself, and like Yaroslav was Java developer, and so Anatoly I've mentioned before, he was like PHP developer. So our background is very heavy on the technologies. But major stack is Ruby on Rails for web, React on the front end. We use Go in the parts where we need to have performance, definitely. So a lot of AWS services, because like right now you can build a lot of application without even writing a code. I mean, like you write a code, of course, but a lot of things are done through the Amazon services or Google Cloud services.
Well, you share or you list quite a big number of technologies, and they're we all know their expectations from their engineers, they grow as the technology progress, right? And there we see their appearance of new frameworks, appearance of new tools, and you also mentioned before that you look for craftsmanship people, right, who want to go into this and want to learn new stuff. So what would be from your point of view their expectations for the engineers? What are their key necessary skills apart from being interested in building something?
So you already mentioned the most important one, interesting in building something. Like I honestly,
how do you measure it then? How do you measure? How do you define it, right? Because
the interest.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very hard to understand. So I can tell you, for example, when I started my career, right? I started programming in 14 years because it was fun. Not play games, but rather do something and see the results of what you have programmed. That's such a joy. And then when I started my career, like as an engineer, it wasn't like a career where you can get some money. Like on the factory, the worker could have like $200 at that moment, and I'm talking about like 2000, 2002, 2003, and an engineer in Dnipro. So I'm from Dnipro. For those who do not know, it's Ukraine. And for engineer, the salary was $80, $100. So everything was about you to be in love with the technology, to be in love with the development. And in my university, all the like 50 people who were there, they were they crazy about technology. They were building absolutely insane things. On
Hmm.
third course, we were building our own translators, compilators, a lot of interesting stuff. And right now, when I see that people say they're senior React developers, when they do not understand algorithms, they do not understand concepts of the programming, they just know how to glue a bit of code. Um, for me, it's a bit, absurd, but it's our pain. So true engineers from 2000, from 90s, 80s, they don't really like kind of what happens, and because there is a lot of money on the market, right? There are a lot of people who went into that industry, and unfortunately, they are not engineers actually. So you must be engineer. So the reason why is you must be engineer. You must love technology. You must love algorithms, structures. You should like to do so. If you are a good engineer, there is a good marker for you. Like there should be some, I don't know, pet project. It shouldn't be like commercial. It can be some library that you polish, or it's a good marker. I mean, if you're just a beginner, I'm saying, because
Yeah,
if you're
yeah.
heavily involved in some product, then you may not have some time because you kind of put all yourself efforts into product. But when you're a beginner, there must be some product that you experiment with.
But do you agree that with their older AI tools, their tools are helping to glue the code? As you said, their senior React developer, let's put it in air quotes, can glue some code together. And if I take ChatGPT, I can glue it even quicker. And
Yeah,
they can
true.
create something that makes value to be defined, but something that works, right? That corresponds to the requirement that were delivered to me, and I can actually produce the result that you are expecting from me. So would it be the change for such people, like bring the AI, or should they learn to still be their engineers?
Yeah, so definitely that's one of the most risky group. We can call them coders because they're actually not engineers. Sorry, guys. So engineer is someone who can solve complex tasks with the different instruments. Instruments are changing, but your ability to solve complex tasks is still the same. And you're absolutely right that AI is gonna change the landscape. You don't need anymore someone who will just copy paste tests, automated tests, and change some variables, and then that's the whole work that they do. Or kind of, I think front end part gonna be replaced pretty soon. If you have components, then what's like the AI will be able to automate the code creation for the
Hmm.
visualizations and actually UX working properly. I definitely recommend if you want to be actual in this industry next 10 years to work heavily on this engineering part, ability to solve complex problems with different instruments. So at the moment, AI is an instrument, right? It
Hmm.
creates code,
True, true.
it creates code, but if you don't understand how to read code, if you don't understand like a lot of code, how to understand a lot of code, and then you do not understand how things work, then how can you fix? Because I'm not sure how it will be in the future, but at the moment, AI produces sometimes, so there is hallucinations, right? So it creates some weird things, and everything looks good, but it just doesn't work. And if you are not strong enough, you will just look at that, hundreds, thousands of lines of code, and what will you do? How you're going to debug it? How you're going to integrate it into the whole product? That's a question.
I think there is also another aspect when you're solving some particular rare problem, not another CRUD service, but rather some algorithmic problem, or you need to, I don't know, implement some parameters in some listener that there has been done like by 10 people in the world because it's a very specific case, then their AI might not help you or lead to incorrect and an inefficient solution. and you just spend more time with AI tool instead of reading their documentation and taking their systematic view on their solution that you have to build for your particular problem.
Exactly. So, and there is another example, right? Is if you build a web application with a heavy load, it's not just a pure solid application. You have a lot of services, a lot of configurations, and you need to merge everything together. You need to think through how you will roll out feature, and rolling out feature often means that you roll out it with feature flag for certain amount of users. You need to define what are the users. And so if you start to explain all this context, try to explain all this context to AI, let's call it this way, then it's a very tricky task, like how to teach AI with all this system and how to operate it. But I guess still we are moving into the direction, and it's gonna do it on a certain level. It will just boost the performance. I have a nice comparison here. Before the open source actively has been developed, let's say web frameworks like Ruby on Rails appeared on the market, it took you much more time to build a web application. But
True.
when
you have to basically compose everything.
Yes, exactly. So you
scratch.
write again and again and again and again and again. But when Ruby on Rails appeared before, if we will get back to the desktop world, it was Delphi and C++ Builder as a solution for the rapid development. But again, when the better frameworks appeared and you were able to build more and more and more, has the industry collapsed because of that? Have we seen engineers like sitting on the street asking for food? No, we actually had much higher spike of the engineering needs. So, 2 years ago, it was just a madness. It was impossible to hire a good engineer in the world. Like you were hunting for each of them, and they were picking one job from 20, 30 propositions. With all those frameworks, so rapid jump. And before that was assembler, right? And after assembler, like languages with the higher level abstraction. And still, it wasn't the problem, so engineers were not left there. And I guess here the same thing. AI will become a tool, and it will give a possibility to build more software, more custom software. Because what happens right now, there is a system, right? And then you try to integrate your processes into the existing product. And usually there are tips and tricks how you apply your processes to the customization of, I don't know, application tracking system.
Yeah. And with all these interesting things happening in the development world with the evolution, again, coming back to the topic of the podcast about the management, why would someone would like to move from their coding job or from the development job or from engineering job to a manager job? What do you think? Why would some or go that direction?
You mean to management position?
Yeah.
People just responsible lead engineers. They just see that if I'm not the one who will do this task, no one else will do this. And without this task accomplished, we will not succeed with delivering certain things. And so you do this task, and then there is another task, and you start to do that task, and then another task, and then you look back and you do not code anymore. You just sit and kind of dispatch those tasks that appear. You help other people to deliver their parts, their features, fix their bugs. And so for many leads, it happens this way. So you do not plan, but then it appears that you cannot code anymore because it's just not efficient. You understand that I will write this code, it will take me a day. But then I will block the other guys with solving their problems. And so that's like a natural motivation. Of course, there are people who just like, I can tell about myself, right? So my personal, how my transition happened.
Yeah. Let's talk about that one.
So I was a developer in one product for some time, and then I've seen that I generate more and more and more ideas of the product specifically. So it was more. I was still coding, but my ideas start to become a part of the product, and it wasn't just an idea of a technological solution for the feature, but rather a feature
Mm-hmm.
set, right? So I started to
All
generate a
right.
lot of features which start to appear in production. So I
Mm-hmm.
acted already as the product manager, and
Did
it
you
appeared.
realize it that there's changes
Yeah,
happening, or
I mean, it was like again organically. So, hey guys, I see that clients might like this thing. And then product owner said, all right, yeah, you can do it yourself. Just implement it. So I did it. It appeared one of the feature. It was the good one, and then another one, and you understand already that you play a role of product manager, and if you will focus on that more, you can deliver more result to the product, while the others can help with engineering part. And that transition happened this way. And then back then, there was this American dream, but there was a Silicon Valley dream. It's again 2000, 2007, 2008. So the boom of startups, it was again old good times. Right now, like imagine, like all the niches of the market are empty. There are a few products
yeah,
here and there. It's right now when you go to any niche, they're gonna
just pick
be
up one and go there?
yeah, you just go there, and then with a lot of niche and a lot of ideas and a lot of young energy, and together with other four engineers, we decided to start this company called Jet Ideas and this design studio Solarheads. It was in Ukraine, in Kiev.
Mm.
Yeah, and we ran it for some time. But as a usual story for Ukrainian startups at that time was that we'd like to build products, but we need to earn money for those products, like for marketing and for some for food for living. So let's build some software for someone and earn some money, and then try to build the product out of it. And then you start to build a service business, and as you start to grow, you understand that it's a full-time job. It's a double full-time job to set up this business. It's actually hard to build a good even service business, and then you don't have any time for building products. So anyway, five engineers converted to managers because you need to organize sales and organize marketing, and it's a quite new niche. So you transit in this way, and I guess in many cases happens the similar for other leads, like other managers who transition from engineers.
Well, everyone has a different motivation. Therefore, I was curious about yours, because lots of people are saying that they can achieve more together with a team, or some people are saying, I want to serve the team, right? I have a servant mindset to make sure that I provide something for the team that they can deliver. And this is a very different approach. However, this helps their team to achieve some result, right? And I guess their difference is where their idea or their inspiration is coming from. Is it coming from the team? Is it coming from you? Is it both sides? And then you get the synergy of exchanging the inspiration and leading further. It looks like the inspiration is a word of today's podcast, and it has a great value in your company.
Yeah, true. And and again, some people just understand that if this is something that they will not do, then nobody will do this, and it becomes crucial. It's like you wake up, there is a rain outside, and you don't want to run, but then you need to run because otherwise, like tomorrow gonna be rain again, and so what? You will not run again, so you need to run. And so you run, and then you feel some appreciation for yourself that you do some right things. And I guess in this situation it's similar. Like honestly, programming is the best thing that happens. Like with me, I still like to write some script here and there. I still play with lead code, let's say, just not to have my
Just to
brain
keep the
rusted.
shape.
Just to keep the shape, yeah, like you go to the gym. Well, sometimes when you have a heavy load, like very heavy load of events in the company, then it is postponed for a few weeks, for a month. But then at a certain moment, like I feel that, I really badly need to go and solve some tasks. And I sit and program, experiment something, do something. And I push my son as well to program, but it takes a lot of effort.
You seem to have to wear lots of hats. So you say that you sometimes program, sometimes have some ideas, sometimes you are managing people, building their 4.0 of the company, or going further. How do you balance between having all this hats on your table? When do you select which one, and how do you enjoy all of them?
So we all know there are physical processes, right? And then those physical processes applicable for objects on the earth. Of course, there is some specific cases like quantum physics, right? But if we talk about, let's say, regular objects, there are rules which are applied, and despite the
Mm-hmm.
object, rules are the same. Actually, doing anything in the company in building product, it's the same logic applies, the same rules are applied. The ability to solve tasks, ability to solve complex problems that I've mentioned before, for which is important for engineering position, it is also applicable for the other positions. So honestly, I didn't want to manage or build HR team in the company. That's not my passion. That wasn't my passion at all. But Yaroslav came to me like, "Hey, Sergey, if you're not gonna build it, like probably we will stuck for some time to grow our team, and there is no one who actually will take it." And again, it wasn't my motivation at all. Like I didn't
Mm-hmm.
like that. But then like, okay, how can I motivate myself to build a great people team? Let's think about it as a product. So I, as a product manager, took off bridges, put on the board. Okay, so what are the subjects? We have candidates, we have employees, we have HR team. We will have, because we didn't have at that moment. So here is the company. So here are the benefits, issues, risks that every subject has in the system. And so I start to unfold this process, and actually I start to build a product, which is a product of people and software solutions as well. I've built a user journey, like
Mm-hmm.
from the website, and I actually automated it myself. I see it and programmed a certain part. I use Zapier to automate things here and there, and I've built a system sometime, like, I don't know, it was like 6 years ago, maybe, no, more like 8 years ago, and it still works there. I still sometimes fix the script which fails when Google changes something. Uh,
I hope you're not the one in the company, the only one in the company that
no, no,
understand
no,
this
no, no,
script.
no, 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 no. I'm not the only one. But and this is the other tactics that I recommend for leaders, because what I've seen everywhere is those engineers who converted to engineering managers, they feel in the end of the day that they are not satisfied with the work that they have done. So there is no pleasure of accomplishing things. So you participated in many meetings, you advised someone, but then you didn't have this appreciation from your body that tells you some dopamine, endorphin, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that tells you, all right, you accomplished task. With engineers, it's much better, right? You write a code, it works, you receive this dopamine, and you are happy. And so, what I suggest to some folks I'm talking to and who have such problem, I say, all right, you should find some things you enjoy to do. Like if you're an engineer and you like to fix some script here and there, don't ask data analytics to select data from the database and represent on dashboard. Just build dashboard yourself, and like then manage it. So it will take a bit of your time, but then you're satisfied. When you are satisfied, you have much more energy, and then you just pay back with this energy to your team. So you need to have those smaller things you enjoy, and for engineers, enjoying, programming is one of the things that they can do.
You mentioned programming with your kid as one of the activities when you program. Are you doing pair programming?
So not yet per programming.
Like code
It is
review,
with
everything?
teenagers. With teenagers. It's hard. It's hard for them to keep, and for them very hard to keep focus right now, when there is such a huge stream of information, right? So from everywhere, those social medias. A lot of games and other things, and despite your attempts to block it somehow, to limit it somehow, it's almost impossible. Like their friends are playing, if you block YouTube, then some teacher shared a link to YouTube with the course that they need to learn, and
For
then
educational purposes,
yeah,
right?
for educational purpose. So it's very hard, but I constantly give it a try, like a push into that direction. So we, again, very helpful for this purpose. Code Wars or Lead Code, where you, again, because you have small task, you have different progression which you can follow, and you can start with the simplest, explain how things work. A lot of good code 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 tutorials on the
Yeah, yeah,
YouTube.
yeah. What I was wondering about their kit and there is connectivity that you have and work with the kit. Are you applying their bridges framework to this product, let's
No,
say,
no,
if I can call
it's too far. It's too far. No, no. I like the basics are
it? No,
important.
no, no. What I'm
Just
saying, from my understanding, when you learn your kit to program, it's a project, right, or a product, if you want. Are you applying the
right.
bridges framework to accomplishing this project?
That they know that's already too much, I guess. That you can plan whatever you want with your kid, but then the reality can be absolutely different. And that's the biggest challenge. So motivation, right? You were talking about inspiration and motivation, and I honestly can say that it's something that I still cannot find yet. So sometimes, so there are waves. At certain moment, it was very interesting for him to solve tasks on Code
Hmm.
Wars, and he achieved a good progress. But then he dropped it, and it took me a lot of efforts to bring him back. But it wasn't that funny anymore for him as it was before. So I give it attempts again and again. But like with every kid, it happens. Yeah, but bridges will not happen, but will help with kids. We should write a disclaimer: do not use bridges for your kids.
Well,
It
they have
cannot solve your
benefits. You have
problems.
issues with them. There are risks, right? There is a domain knowledge about their person, about and there is a goal. If you want to make sure your kid can program, then there is a goal. So why not?
Yeah, I mean, an implementation plan, right? Because we also use this concept of implementation plans very often. May be interesting for someone as an engineer. But before writing code, we consider like the solution and write them as bullet points and share with the
Mm.
other team members, so they can influence the decision how you would like to build something. And then you already build the code. Of course, it's not applicable for some simple tasks, but if your product is growing and it's going to bigger and bigger, like Mailtrap, for example, at the moment, it's a pretty significant application which is able to handle hundreds of millions of emails to be sent and store and process and analytics and so on. So yeah, when you want to change something, then of course you need to have a
Yeah.
plan how to change it. So yeah, implementation plan is important.
I want to be mindful of your time, and for one provocative question for the end, you mentioned several times that you do lots of different things. But if you would have to choose one thing, either a management position or an engineering position, which way would you go?
But I made my choice, right? Already. It's not provocative. So I went into management position, and that's my karma. Yes, being an engineer. Oh, sorry, being a manager.
Well, I hope you enjoy it because during the conversation you shared several interesting things, and being inspirational for your team is something that you can be very proud of. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just
Sure,
want to
sure,
say
sure. Go
here
ahead.
quickly that I'm very happy to work with our amazing team. So love you all, really. So it's a pure joy to work with those guys. They're unique and they do a very, very good job. So that's a big pleasure to work with them.
Praising the team. Thank you. And it's great to see that you really like the team, and hope the team also responds to you and gives you their inspiration and energy to bring your company to the 4.0 or 5.0 level that you have in your mind. So thank you very much, Sergiy, for your time and for this conversation. If people want to reach out to you, what is the best way to do it? Where do they find you?
LinkedIn is fine. Probably right now becomes the major point of communication, or Facebook, which became a LinkedIn for myself a few years ago. So all the friends are the folks from the IT community.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah, Facebook or
Yeah, we'll
LinkedIn.
put their links to your profiles in the description below. And dear listeners, don't forget to like this episode and subscribe. If you dislike the episodes, please tell us in the comments why don't you like it, because it's a great way of the feedback that we need from you as a community. All right, thank you, Sergiy, and then have a good one.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Maybe not the first, not the last time. We have a lot of stories to tell. Like every product has its own unique story and great team. So maybe in a year or something.
Next time for their more hardcore stories, not only the stories from their beginning of our careers a long time ago.
Yeah. Hard stories. A lot of them we have.
All right, good. Thank you.
Good.
Bye.
Thank you, listeners. Bye bye. Subscribe to the channel.